Good evening, guys. We'll start here. So, okay, Priyanka. There are a few people missing, huh? Okay, let's give them 2 minutes for today. Then I'll not give. We'll start with very complex topics and never let these people in. Okay, don't worry. Sornam, is this your first class here or?
Hello, sir. Yeah, and this is my second class. I joined from the second day and I followed with the first day recording, sir.
Nice, nice. That is good. Okay. Hmm. Okay, while we are waiting, let's do fun. So all of you have received PPT in your emails?
Yes, received.
No, I didn't read.
Put your email here, somebody will forward it to you. I think they have done it in WhatsApp also, correct?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Sorry, sorry. Yeah. On WhatsApp. Yes.
Okay, very good. Did you guys take a look at it or you guys, right?
No, I actually had chance.
Okay, that is fine. But I think rest of you have. Okay. First thing is I'll give you 3 PPTs. That is you have to complete those first, then think about anything else. Why? Okay, let me ask you something. What does the Scrum Master do? Whatever you know till now, what does a Scrum Master do in real life? What are his roles and responsibilities, duties? How does he spend his day? So that will be one of the first few questions in your interview. What do you do in your day-to-day activities? What are your day-to-day activities? What do you do? What does a Scrum Master do? Take a guess.
Generally,
Hmm?
he just actually knows about any impediments in this process, and he sees whether the meetings are held or not. Actually, he does. What I mean to say is, if they are attending the meeting or not. Actually,
So he is basically a clerk just to mark the attendance.
not exactly, sir. But
Hmm.
he should at least know at least they are having the meeting or not.
So basically, he is just there to mark the attendance. If they are yes, no, yes, no. That's it. What a beautiful life, isn't it?
So,
No, what you're saying is correct in some organizations or for some Scrum Masters. Anyways, what else? But
so basically it depends on which phase of the Scrum Master is. So if it's the
nice.
time that to do the sprint planning or retrospective. So depending on that, the day of the Scrum Master is decided.
Hmm.
So we can say that how it's a phase. Means if the team is new to the Agile or Scrum, so it's a responsibility of Scrum Master to learn all the technologies, or the team should be learn all the manifesto, how everything should go. So it's a responsibility of him to understand the Scrum manifesto and all the things to the team.
Scrum Master
Okay.
may be a facilitator or a coach of the team who helps like understanding in like every practices are following the team or not. If there is any kind of dependency on other team, then it's Scrum Master's work to like uh, do a Scrum up Scrum kind of thing. Remove any kind of impediments in the team.
Fair answers. Actually, you could go to your. That is why I asked, did you go through the presentation? So, actually, if you go through the presentation, you will realize whatever we are covering is what Scrum Master does. So, he knows the Scrum framework. He explains and coaches the values of the Scrum to the team. He does all the entire sprint life cycle. He runs all these events. How he does that, we'll talk about today. So he facilitates all these events and coaches the team to follow Scrum values and Scrum principles. That is what you do. Then you take care of, you are tracking product backlog, you are tracking sprint backlog, you are tracking increment. You understand principles and values and you apply them to your team. You do backlog management refinement also in all those grooming calls. Then you apply the user stories. You make sure what is a user story and all we'll get into. So you make sure people have acceptance criteria, DOD, invest. All these practices are followed in your team. If they are not doing it, you explain them how to. You manage the spillovers. You coach the team how to avoid spillovers. If there are spillovers, then you do the analysis with the team and take corrective actions. Then in Kanban, you do all these things. If it is a Kanban, we'll get to that. Then you do you find the metrics of the team, then you report it to the management. There is one call where all these metrics are discussed with the management. Then you handle the stakeholders, then you handle the conflicts in your team, then you handle the teamwork spirit in your team, you build that culture. Then you coach the team. Then if it is a scaled agile, then you do their events. Then whatever challenges come, you manage the technical debt, you transition teams, you deal with changing requirements. Then if somebody does not perform well, you take that responsibility of making sure he does. If somebody is egoistic, what do you do? If somebody is product owner is not even available, then how do you handle that? Then you track risks in your team. What are the risks and how do you track it? Using techniques called ROAM. Then you handle CI/CD. You make sure you educate your organization on using CI/CD, and whatever issues come, that you have to track. Then you do release planning, you do use dashboards. I may have missed one or two points, but this is from primarily what you guys or what Scrum Master would do in his or her role throughout the day. You got it now, right? Okay, nice. So now, this is why this was there in the PPT, so that you can understand on a day-to-day basis what are the things that you do as a Scrum Master. So there is a whole host of things that a Scrum Master would do in an organization. Okay. Now let us talk about the where we were. We were at the juncture where we were talking about we were just starting out what is Agile and all. So Agile is a incremental and iterative process that we already know now. Now we have to start our sprints and all. Okay, fine. Before that, let us understand how do the requirements come in the organization or in the team. Requirements in a Scrum environment or in an Agile environment come in the form of a user story. So what is a user story? User story is a requirement from the point of view of a user. What is a user story? User story is a requirement from the point of view of a user. And in Agile, we get requirements in the form of a user story. You are looking from the point of view of a user. Okay, let's dwell little bit into little details, and then we will get into the sprint ceremonies and how do you want to deal with those. Okay, one sec here. I have to give you these questions also, daily stand-up question. This is also given. Yeah, Vilasha. Yeah, go ahead. I'll just share the.
So requirements directly comes as a user story.
That is, I will explain.
Okay.
I will explain. So last time we discussed that we are building something called a login functionality. Correct? We are building a application, food delivery application, and the first feature our product owner says, let's build the login functionality, because without login functionality we can't do anything. So let's build the login functionality. But that's a feature. So that feature gets broken down into user stories. Let's understand what the hell is a user story on a very basic level, and then we'll build it through. So this is a typical example of a user story. So let us say in the login process, we have to reset the password. So for resetting the password, a product owner will write the requirement, and the requirement he has written is, as a user, I want to reset my password so that I can regain the access to my account if I forget it. So there is a proper structure here. The structure is that from the point of view of a user, so typically this is as a type of a user. So as a user, as a user means type of a user. You want some action so that a benefit can be derived. So as a frequent online shopper, I want to save my payment details so that I can check out faster. So as a admin, I want to remove and add policies so that I can manage my users, whatever. So basically the idea is, and every story will be only in this structure. It will be from the point of view of a user. They will want some action so that a benefit can happen. Let us understand it. So as a user, I want to log in into using my email and password so that I can access my account and order food. From the point of view of user, what is the action and what is the advantage of that action? Why are we using this format? Because you are thinking requirements from the point of view of a user. Because Agile is customer centric. You are thinking from the point of view of a user. What does a user want? Okay, user wants to log in so that he can access the account. Why? Because he wants to order the food. So doesn't matter what the domain is, doesn't matter what the team is, you are always going to have a user story in this structure only. From the point of a user, you want some action, and then there will be a advantage of that action. So a product owner will be grilled on the user story format, but not you. Scrum Master should just know what a user story is. That's all. Because he doesn't write user stories. Some of the organization, if you go to an organization, you get 2, 3, 4 years experience in a team, then probably in those cases, yes, you will see some teams where Scrum Master is also writing some stories, but it is not a good practice. It's a conflict of interest. But you have to get your salary, so you will do it. But ideally, it is not a good practice that a Scrum Master writes a story. The responsibility of writing a story is with the product owner or the BA. So in Agile or in Scrum, the requirements will come in the form of a user story. That user story will be written by the product owner or the BA. Am I clear here? Okay. So we'll dwell deep. I'm not going to go very deep now. I'll go to this topic little later again. But for now, I just wanted you to have a little information on what the hell is a user story. So we are building login functionality. So email and password we are using. Then product owner says, boss, today the age is of social media. Next requirement. Where is he giving all these requirements? In the grooming call. There is something called backlog refinement called or grooming call, where the product owner introduces these requirements to the developers and the QAs. And the Scrum Master is present there and he is facilitating that meeting. I'll come to the questions. I think a couple of you asked the questions. I'll come to that. So another user story, he says, as a user, I want to use my Google or Facebook account so that I can quickly access the app without you creating. You must have all used it. Some applications or some website you have gone, they would take your Google account and log in. So this is the requirement. So this is how a user story is in this structure. It will always be in this structure from the point of view of a user. So let us say now, so these are functional user stories. There could be technical user stories also. So let us say there is a UI code and that page is not loading, that login page is not loading fast enough. Now your developer has to troubleshoot it. As a developer, I want to increase the response time of my UI page so that the users can access it faster. The technical lead or architect will use that kind of a technical user story. So if it is a technical user story where you are optimizing code or creating database or some technical work, that an architect or a tech lead can create. But functional user stories, which are customer centric, those will be created by the product owner or the business analyst. Then we'll dive deep into what are the other aspects of it. But typically, this is how you will get a requirement in the Scrum team. The product owner or the business analyst will give these user stories or the requirements to the team. Okay, now, yeah, Pyali.
So my first question is, when do we do this backlog grooming, and who actually writes that acceptance criteria?
Okay, we haven't even
Oh,
we'll get there. Okay. Yes, Sudeep.
My question is, like, you're saying the product owner will give the requirements. So like he will be informed before only, like from somewhere, like he will get this information from somewhere, like that these are the things we need to do. So that meeting also the Scrum Master facilitates, or like it is something other, some other meeting?
Okay. So yeah, I get your question. So basically, so maybe product owner's boss, product manager has few ideas of what they are going to build. Maybe sales team has ideas. So that requirement gathering he will do in various calls. That Scrum Master has got nothing to do with it. Maybe there are occasions when Scrum Master has to do, but not now. We'll not introduce that now. You'll get confused. But typically, the product owner will have all this information and he would come in these calls with these stories. Okay. Of course, we will refine it further. We will discuss it further. But on an initial basis, at least the initial draft he will have before the discussion with the developers and QA start. Okay.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Venkatesh sir.
Sir, my doubt is the product owner will have the functional requirements from the user, from the user perspective, as you said. And after deriving that functional requirement, there are respective technical requirements also. That is also added in the product backlog or sprint backlog.
Yes.
What actually it is?
Everything that we want to do is a part of this product backlog, whether technical, whether non-technical. So there are primarily two sorts of requirements: functional requirements and technical requirements, nor what you call non-functional requirements or NFRs. So there are functional requirements and non-functional requirements. Functional requirements are, I have to build this application, so I want users to log in, create the menu, browsing, get the payment options done, add the cart, integrate AI, whatever customers needs. But to build all this, you need a database also. So to create a database is now a functional requirement. Oh, sorry, non-functional requirement. That also will be a part of your product backlog. That will be put by the database lead or the architect or whosoever is going to do it. So there will be functional requirements and non-functional requirements.
Sir, they will put these requirements through product owner, or they will put by themselves?
They can put it themselves. They can create that requirement themselves. Functional stories will be created by the product owner. Non-functional stories will be created by the technical team. It could be the tech lead, architect, DB lead, whosoever you want to call it. Okay. Yes.
Together it will be put in the product backlog, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. I will show you, that will be more clear. Yes, Omkar.
Actually, one silly question continues with this question. Actually, as you said that a technical related non-functional things will be added by tech lead or anything. So it is we called it as a product backlog, or there is a term called take backlog. It's just a term.
No. Everything, whatever we need to do is a part of product backlog.
Okay.
Every damn thing, every ticket in that backlog is your product backlog.
Okay. Because that term is called in my previous organization. That's why I asked this.
No, in Agile, there is only one product backlog. Now, in
Okay.
some organizations, they want to mess up Agile, they are free to do that.
Okay.
But there is only one product backlog. Ideally, there should be one product backlog only and one product owner. Okay, now. So now we are going to, I'm going to, for the first 5-10 minutes, I'm going to give you a rough idea of how this works. I'm not getting into acceptance criteria and all that we'll discuss. So now we have these requirements. We have like these 10, 15, 20 stories, correct? So requirements come in the form of user stories. So let us say now we are grooming and we have something like 10 stories ready, which we can start development on. This process of getting the requirement, refining it, and getting it ready for development is this entire process happens during the grooming calls. The product owner says, okay, this is what we are going to build. Then obviously the developers will have questions. Okay, we are going to use email and password. What will be the length of the password? Will we send a link? Will that link get expired after 15 minutes? What if the customer tries a wrong password for 5 times, 3 times? Do we lock that account? How do we unlock it? They will have multiple questions. So then we will arrive at a common agreement of what we are going to build. QA says, boss, if they tried 3 times, we are going to lock it. It's a security thing. Product owner says, no. Stakeholders say 5 is enough. All other products in the domain are like that. So we agree. Okay. Then another password complexity, blah, blah, blah. All these agreements, we have to agree, right? What are we going to build? Otherwise, there will be a fight between what developers are going to build, what QAs are going to test, what stakeholders are going to check, isn't it? So we come to a common agreement that this is what we are going to build, and this is the scope of this requirement. So unless you tell me the scope of a requirement, the requirement clarity is not there, or we cannot build anything. Is that clear? So what is the scope clarity? Scope clarity is every user story will have a acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is the agreement between PO, dev, and QA about what is the scope of that particular requirement. If the scope is not final, then there will be disagreements between the product owner, devs, QAs, dev and QAs, and even the stakeholders, because you are not clarifying what is going to be built. So let us say on the login page, it should have 4 radio buttons, it should have 1 animation, all of that you have to put, okay, this is what we want. So if the agreement is not there, then there is every chance of having conflicts or issues, and the quality of the product will also be impacted. We will dwell deep into what is an acceptance criteria and all that later on. I'm not covering this. I'm just trying to give you an idea that there will be a user story, it will be a requirement, and then there will be the scope of that requirement. All of this will be a part of your user story, and this will be finalized in something which is called grooming. How exactly grooming happens, that will come to. Yes, Deepak sir.
Yeah, one small doubt actually. You are talking about grooming call, right? I wanted to understand whether grooming call will happen after every PI or like one PI
I don't
will
know
have.
what PI is. Let's not even get there. What is a PI? Okay, let's not even get there. We are saying we have to start a sprint, correct?
Correct.
You are the Scrum Master. There is one PO. There is a Scrum team. And there are requirements in the form of a user story. Now we have to start developing it, testing it, building it, correct?
Correct.
So let us say we have to start our sprint 1. Before starting of sprint 1, we have to finalize what are the requirements or what are the user stories that we are going to build. Yes?
Yeah.
So before the start of a sprint, if sprint 1 is starting, before that, we will do this grooming and we will explore what are the stories which we are going to do. Correct?
Yeah.
If I want to do something in sprint 4, when will I prepare for it? In sprint
3.
If I have to do something in sprint 6, when will I prepare for it? In sprint
5.
At least 1 sprint before, or maybe 2 sprints before. Okay. So don't get into this thing now. Okay. So let us say, sorry. Go ahead, Pyali. You have a question.
So basically, then you are saying that before the sprint planning comes the grooming.
You got it. So let's talk about sprint planning now for a bit now, because this is so on day one, you are the Scrum Master and you are running this team now. It is a 10-day event, day 1 to day 10. On day 1 at 9 a.m., you are starting a sprint. What is the first event which happens? What is the first activity which happens? It is the sprint planning. Sprint planning. So you were a Scrum Master, and on day 1 of a fresh sprint, 9 a.m. in the morning or 10 a.m. in the morning, whatever, you have a 1 hour or 1.5 hour, 2 hour call. Let us say it is a 2 hour call of sprint planning, where you are going to plan how many user stories and which user stories you are going to pick up to work in the next 10 days. To do this sprint planning, you need two things: stories which are ready for development and your capacity sheet. Your capacity sheet tells you for how many hours your team is available for that week. I'll go very slow now. So you are a Scrum Master. The first activity that you are going to do with the team when you are starting a sprint is the sprint planning. You have 10 people, you will send invites to them, call it sprint planning, whatever team, Star, Phoenix, whatever your team name is, and you will call everybody. Okay, can you start sprint planning? Yes, you can start sprint planning, but you need two things. Number one, you need stories which are ready for development, or requirements which are ready for development. Ready for development means QAs, developers, and POs have agreed upon the scope of that story. What is the requirement? What are they going to build and what are they going to test? If that clarity is not there, then you are going to end up having difficulties, which we'll discuss in due course. What are those difficulties? But for now, I am just giving you an overview how you will run the entire sprint. And then I will get into each and every event and dissect it. What are the good things, bad things? How does that run? How does practically problem arises? How do you solve it? So you are on day 1. What happens on day 1? You are doing sprint planning with the team. So the entire team and the product owner needs to be there. The entire Scrum team and the product owner. So product owner says, okay, these are the 15 stories that are ready. Out of those 15 stories, okay, team says we can only pick up 10, let us say. But how do they come to this conclusion is based on a couple of things that we'll understand. For now, understand this, that they will, out of 15 stories, they will decide, okay, we are going to pick 10. In the first sprint, nobody knows how much is the past data. But normally, you will have the past data from the previous sprints. Let us say in the past 3 previous sprints, don't talk about velocity, story points, we'll deal with those. So let us say on a basic level, let us say in the last 3 sprints, on an average, my team, which is a team of 10, they were completing 5 stories. Okay, they were completing 5 stories, 5 requirements. Now suddenly some CTOs, CIOs, PO says, no, you pick up 12 stories, we need it. Can you do that?
No.
We'll see how to say no. And so basically Scrum Master has to guide the team to pick up stories based on their past performance. It could be last 3 sprints, last 5 sprints, whatever. We will see that in Jira, how you can check this information and use it with the team. So point here is that sprint planning, you have to do some homework. Homework is, first, you need to have stories which are ready for development. There are enough teams in the market and enough Scrum Masters in the market who do not do it, and then they struggle. Why? You start a story. That story was never discussed. This email and password story. Oh, we will do it. Okay. On day one, we start this story. By 3 p.m., somebody says we cannot do it. Arey, where is the email server? We haven't even set up the email server. Because we were so adamant we have to start development. We never talked about it. What are the dependencies and blockers? There is no UX design. There is no API. We need something from some other team, or the developer who is going to do it is a Java developer, but this requirement is Python. We've never discussed these things. So all these blockers, dependencies, all the things that you require to do some story, that you have to discuss in the grooming call. So what you need to come before, so all of this you have to tell in the interview, boss, that as a Scrum Master, you make sure the stories are ready for development, because that is when you have a better probability of completing your stories, and thus the delivery will be higher. And as a Scrum Master, you make sure your teams are very productive. If you're a good Scrum Master only, then they will hire you. Na? So how are you a good Scrum Master? Because you make sure that the stories are ready for development before entering into the sprint planning stage. So how do you make sure that the stories are ready for development? So that is an entire process which we will deal with in an entire, probably tomorrow. Okay. So is this clear? Sprint planning is the first event. To do sprint planning, you need stories which are ready for development, which will come from a grooming event which has taken place in the previous sprint. Then the second thing is capacity sheet. I will show you a capacity sheet today. So you have to build a capacities for how many hours my team is available for. Typically, let us say my team for a given 10 days, let us say I have 10 developers, and each day, let us take 8 hours. One developer works for, let us say, total is 8 hours. So in a week, 40 hours. In 2 weeks, which is a 10-day sprint, how many hours? 80 hours. 8 hours in one day, 10-day sprint, 80 hours is the maximum capacity for one developer or a queue. Ideally, you should never find capacity in Agile in hours. But we don't live in a perfect world. In India, most of the companies will force you to get your capacity in hours. I will show you how you calculate it and how you use it. But this is not recommended by Agile. I will also tell you how to do that in Agile the perfect way, because maybe you can get into Spotify, Netflix, or some big company. There, the hourly thing will not work. So, but in HCLs and the TCSs of the world, they force people into hours. They are very happy because they still have that service mentality. Anyways, that's a separate discussion which we'll get into. For now, only remember the key points, the basic points first. The basic point is sprint planning. You need stories which are ready for development. Then second thing you need is capacity sheet for how many hours your team is available. Typically, let us say 80 hours is the capacity of one developer or a QA. Let us say my team is 10 members. So 800 hours is their typical capacity. Now, for some week, they are only available for 400 hours, which means they are not at their full capacity. I cannot take up, if typically they used to take 6 stories, they cannot take 6 stories now. They will only be taking half of it or whatever. Is this aspect clear? How to do that in detail we'll get into. First, we are getting an introduction of what happens in a sprint planning. Sprint planning, what will you get? You will have stories which are ready for development. And the second item is capacity. What is the capacity of your team? Okay, fine. So capacity sheet, as a Scrum Master, you should know how to build a capacity sheet. As a Scrum Master, you should know how to run grooming events and how to refine the stories with the help of a PO and the team so that you get stories which are ready for development. The blockers and dependencies are sorted out. So I will get into a very detailed analysis on it, how you pick up a story, how you realize what are the tasks in it, and how do you estimate, and how do you, all sorts of those things before you arrive at a. So you have to do an estimation also, how many days, hours, or how many, what is the effort, complexity of these requirements. Those are called estimation. Estimation is when you are estimating the requirement, how easy it is it complex, is it risky, what is the effort in it, very it is too tedious or very easy, all sorts of risk, uncertainty, effort, all those sorts of things we will. So those are called estimations, and you are responsible to do these estimations with the team. So as a Scrum Master, you should know the estimation techniques. If you do not know the estimation techniques, people go put their CV, estimation techniques they don't mention as a Scrum Master. Estimation techniques is the bread and butter of a Scrum Master. You should know that the requirements come in the form of a user story, and those user stories, you have to help the team in estimating it, understanding how much time, effort is required to complete those. How do you do that? Through the grooming call. What all techniques are there? We'll get into it. For now, you should only know that sprint planning is required, and in sprint planning, you need to build a capacity sheet and you need to have stories that are ready for development. Okay, that's it. Then I'll come to the next part. Yeah, Wasim sir.
Sir, then what is we do in the kickoffs? Like,
so that we'll discuss after I finish today. What he's trying to say is, there is, before starting of sprint 1, if a project is new, if a product is new, there is a concept of sprint 0. They may ask you in the interview also. Sprint 0. Sprint 0 is where you are identifying who is the PO, who is the SM, who will be the, what will be the team, what will the product will they work on, what is the configuration of the team, what is the tech stack. All these decisions they are making for the first 5, 10, 15 days before the start of the actual work, before the kickoff of the sprint 1. So that is called, you can call it pre-sprint period. Some people call it sprint 0. So basically that's the concept of sprint 0. Before, if you are setting up a new product or a new project, whatever activities you are doing before setting up the dev server, QA server, also those sorts of things, whatever you are going to do, those things are called your sprint 0 activities or pre-sprint activities. I think that's what you meant, Wasim, when you asked.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Priyanka.
So I wanted to ask, since you said that if we are building the login functionality, the various subparts to that project, like what will be the number of characters or the database part. So those points, when we discuss, where do these points go into? It also goes into the product backlog under the main feature, or how is it placed there in the Jira? Or
so you are saying the technical details of how the login functionality will work, what will be the components. So there are two things. So on a higher level, how the entire application will work, that is your high level design or an HLD. Then each specific functionality, how it works on a story level, there will be something called LLD or a lower level design document. There are two design documents. This is a technical term now. There are two design documents. One is a higher level design document, which is how your overall functionality is going to work. And then on a story level, specific to a particular story or a functionality, there will be a lower level design. That's a technical this thing. That is a technical team's thing. They will attach it to a particular story.
Okay, so that also is done in Jira.
No, that also is done in Jira, but that is sometimes it is a part of your grooming, sometimes it is not a part of your grooming.
Okay, but on a sprint basis, we will be tracking those stories as well.
These are not different stories. For example, your email and password story, whatever lower level design I have to make, that will be a part of this story. That will be attached to this.
Okay.
That will not be a separate. Okay. Whatever you are doing to build a particular functionality, everything will be attached to that story.
Okay. Achha.
Okay.
Sir, and it's a part of a PBI.
Every story is a
Okay.
product backlog item.
So basically, it will be task under that main user story.
That way. We will create a story. We will that activity has to happen. Don't
So
don't.
there we'll discuss these technical tags.
How we have not even I'm just telling you practically what do you need as a Scrum Master. Okay, as a Scrum Master, you in the sprint planning, you need these stories to be ready for development through the grooming call. Second is you need to create a capacity sheet where you need to know how much availability is with your developers and QAs. That's all. That also how you build it, we'll get into that. Okay. So this is day 1, 9 to 10. Okay. Yeah, Pali. If you have any details, we'll get into the details of these event.
So actually, I'm just trying to picture it in my head of whatever you told us, right? So let's say I'm in sprint 3 now. So before I start my sprint 3 planning, in sprint 2 somewhere I have already done the backlog grooming.
Yes.
Okay.
How many events? What is the duration? We'll get to that.
Okay, and then in somewhere in between, I have also done the kickoff for future projects.
No. When you started sprint 1 of this project, that kickoff was done.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Abhilash.
So we were discussing about the estimation. So do Scrum Master also do the estimation? But
Scrum Master has a very important role to play in estimations, and because nobody else knows these estimations.
estimation technique or actual estimations we are talking about?
Developers and QAs are sometimes not aware of the estimation techniques. The Scrum Master is the expert in estimations. That is why the organizations hire to do this estimations with the team, because the developers and QAs are not expected to know this process. If they know, great. But you could end up having a team where they are not aware of these estimations. They are not aware of Agile. So you as an Agile or a Scrum expert is supposed to coach the team into doing these activities.
Okay, so let's say already we have done 3 or 4 sprints already. Okay, so now team will be aware how this estimation technique works. Then now what will be the Scrum Master role? I mean, in the starting.
That we'll get into. Don't worry.
Okay.
Oh, Scrum Master has so much work that if you want to work, you will end up working 16 hours a day. Okay, so don't worry about it. Okay, I'll get you. So yeah, Wasim sir. You are not audible.
Yes, sir. Sir, now you can hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, about estimations, according to you is like the technical part about a user story.
No, I haven't talked about estimations at all. I am just saying that you have to understand a requirement and predict how easy it is, how difficult it is, how complex is it, is it tedious, how many, what are the dependencies on it, so and so forth. That is something, that is a general idea of what an estimation is. We'll get into details here. Don't get confused, technical, non-technical.
With the team, sir, right now?
Huh?
That we need to discuss with the team developers
once they understand the requirement, they have to tell us how difficult it is, how easy it is, how complex it is. Have they done something like this in the past? How risky is it? How many uncertainties there are? All those sorts of discussions we have to do. Though that's part of your okay. So don't worry, we'll get to that. Don't get into too much into estimations. What you should worry about is which is the first event. That you should worry about. The first event is sprint planning, which is a 2-hour activity or a 1-hour activity, anything between 1 to 2 hours, depending on your team configuration. And before sprint planning, you have something called grooming, from where you will get the final requirements to be started. Now, so let us say in our, we do the 10 stories. Now, no more questions for next 10 minutes. Okay. Then I'll take the question, because I'm just giving you an overview. I'm not even getting into the details, and you are asking me weird, and which is a good thing. You guys are curious. That's a nice thing. So I'm just introducing you the girl. This is the girl I'm going to marry. You are asking me what kind of children will you have, where will you, how will you live? No, please, hang on. Okay. So now this is the sprint planning. So let us say I decide that I'm going to do this email password story, then social media login story, couple of other stories, all related to login functionality. 4, 5, 6 stories, all related to login functionality. So we have what is called sprint goal. So the output of the sprint planning is the sprint goal. How many stories we are targeting? That is our sprint backlog. So remember, there was something called sprint backlog. So let us say we decide to do these 6 stories of login functionality. All these 6 stories is my sprint backlog. Is that clear? Is that clear? Sprint planning happens because you have to finalize the stories that you have to do. Out of given set of stories, whatever is ready for development, you will pick up few stories to do. That decision, okay, we will do these 5 stories. Those 5 stories is your sprint backlog. That is what you get out of sprint planning. At the end of sprint planning, so you need 2 things. You need stories ready for development, and you need a capacity sheet. The output of a sprint planning is that you will have a sprint backlog. Sprint backlog will tell you, okay, these are the stories which the team has decided to do. And those you will communicate it to management, stakeholders, and your bosses. Okay, this is what my team has decided. That is what Scrum Master and the PO will communicate it to the world. This is our sprint backlog. And PO says our goal is to build basic login functionality. So he gives you the sprint goal. So the sprint goal, or maybe this is sprint 57th. Now your product is mature. You have to integrate an AI module into your application, or some ML model or something like that. So he says enhancing the AI capability of my product. That is my sprint goal. So whatever is the nature of the stories you pick up, that becomes your sprint goal. And sprint goal is decided by the product owner and the team. Okay, this is what we are going to do. So the output of your sprint planning is the sprint backlog and the sprint goal. So now you started this conversation at 9 a.m. Now 11 a.m. At 11 a.m. your team has a sprint goal. After 10 days, they have to complete these 6 stories, and this is their sprint goal. Hang on now. Okay, let me complete. So is this aspect clear, that what is sprint planning and why do we do it? Because we want a sprint backlog and we want a sprint goal. Now we start. So people disperse, the day starts. Now, on an everyday basis, whether we are able to complete these stories, whether we are moving towards the sprint goal, or there is some blocker. You need something from someone, somebody gets ill, some clarification is required. We are not clear. Okay, we had this login page, but developer is not clear. Okay, which do we have to use an API now to get a login? That discussion which happened is not very clear. He wants further clarifications, all those things. So from the day 1 onwards, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, every day there is a 15-minute call where we find out whether the team is moving towards this goal or they have some blockers or dependencies. This is what we call inspect and adapt process in Agile. You have to use the words inspect and adapt. So as a Scrum Master, you are inspecting and adapting in the daily stand-up, whether we are moving towards the sprint goal or not. Am I clear here? Do you have any doubts? So this is not a status call. It is a call where you find out dependencies and blockers. The team is trying to discover whether they are moving towards the goal or not. And that is why we don't have absolute planning in Agile. It is adaptive planning. What I mean by that is, let us say we decide we are going to do 6 stories. Now, out of these 6 stories, one story, we needed an API from somebody. We are not getting that API from somebody. On day 3, we find out this. The product owner says, okay, boss, we cannot take this. That API we will not get. So, and this story is not even that important. He will downgrade the priority of that story and say we will pick up something else. So we have adapted to our plan. Our initial plan was to complete these 6 stories, but it turns out on day 3, the dependency on this item is such that that will not be completed. The other team which was supposed to give us some API is not going to give that. Then we have adapted our plan. And that adaptation will be communicated to everybody that we have adapted. So this is what the beauty of Agile is, that you are going to adapt your plan. You don't have a fixed plan. You start with a plan, but on a day-to-day basis, you are adapting that plan. You are trying to do the best you can do in the circumstances which are available. Let us say Kiran was a very important component in that, is a key component of our team. He's a key member, and God forbid he is ill for 3 days. And he was working on one story, but we can't adjust. There is nobody else who has that skill. Nobody else has that skill. Nobody else can do that. So we go to the PO boss, we can't do this. PO says this is bad. We should have a backup plan. Okay, we will have a backup plan, but now we don't have a backup plan. What do we do? Okay, we'll try to find some other story. Maybe this we can push it to the next sprint. Whatever. So the point is, the daily stand-up is an opportunity to adapt your plans based on what is happening on a day-to-day basis. On day 5, PO says, boss, there's a very important requirement. Business cannot live without this. We have to do this. Okay, how critical it is? It is very critical. Who says that? Stakeholders say that. Everybody says that. The criticality is established. If we don't do it now, then the business faces revenue loss. So then we have to adapt. And that is the culture you have to coach the team. The team is irritated. Every 3rd day they are changing. This is bullshit. I'm not going to do this. I already created test cases. Now I want to test this. Array, this is not a college here. I have done half the homework. Now I want to complete the homework. Developers are adamant. No, but I did half of it. Array, to hell with your half. The business doesn't need it here. Nobody is paying money for it. You get me? This is why, to coach these people, they are still in that college mode, engineering mode, discipline mode. But मैंने आधा काम तो कर दिया, अब तो मैं उसको पूरा करूंगा. अरे, but we don't need it, bro. That requirement which business gave, they no longer need it now. Nobody is paying money to do that. Now they are paying money to do something else because their customers want something else. That adaptability we need to have. If you don't have that adaptability, you cannot survive in today's world. Your customers need to be reasonably satisfied. If they are having some revenue loss because of something, their competition has released some AI feature. You have to adapt immediately. You cannot wait. So you have to. So let us say this crucial story comes on day 5. You will take this up. Something which was not that crucial, we will drop. So that adjustment we will do. So I will introduce to you formal process of how mid-sprint changes will take place formally, step by step. But this is just an introduction of why we do it. You have to explain the why of things. only then you will be a good candidate. If you're just telling the process, that's not enough. You have to explain why. Why are you changing? Why are you adapting? Because you have to adapt to the business changes. But can you adapt all the 5 stories? No. If product owner says on day 6, all 6 stories are bad, we have to adapt. Okay. Next sprint also he says all of what I gave you, we no longer need it. We need something else. That means he does not have the correct product vision. That's a product vision problem then. That's not adaptation. The guy does not even have a product vision. He does not know what he is going to build. And that is another problem that a Scrum Master then has to talk to his bosses, stakeholders, to get it fixed. We'll get there. But now the only point I'm trying to make you understand is, what is a DSU? DSU is a call where you adapt to your plan. You have a plan in the sprint planning. As a Scrum Master, you sit with your PO, you sit with your team, and you plan for a particular sprint. And after that, every day you go to the daily stand-up to see whether the team can inspect whether they are moving towards their goal, or if they are not, then you have to adapt your plan. Is this clear? Let us say now, now we have completed few stories. So somebody has to review it also, right? Whether whatever we have done will be accepted by the business or not. Whatever you have done will be accepted by the business or not. And then we get into on day 8 or day 9. So in real life, it will not happen that all the 6 stories will be reviewed at one go. So starting from day 7, day 8, day 9, all these 7, 8, 9 days, as the stories get completed, you have various sprint review calls where the stakeholders, the product owner, the Scrum team will be present, and they will sit, and QA and the product owner will show the functionality to the stakeholders and the PO that, boss, this is what we have built. What is your feedback? So sprint review is the next event now. So sprint is the first event, 10 days. Then we start with sprint planning. Then we have daily stand-ups. Then on day 7, day 8, day 9. Typically, the reviews will never happen in one go. It will happen in, sometimes they do, but typically it should happen in 2 or 3. So 10 stories are there, 15 stories are, some stories are done in first review, then second review, then third review. Typically 2 or 3 reviews are there. So they happen from day 7, day 8, and day 9. There could be a combined review also with the leadership group. That's a separate discussion. But sprint review, why it is done? Whatever the Scrum team has done, they will show it to the stakeholders and the product owner, because they want the feedback. And only completed stories are shown to the stakeholders. If your team has not login functionality they were working on, they have just created a screen. If you click on login, nothing happens. Can you show it? No. Array, but we have worked so hard. Array, it doesn't matter. If the entire functionality is not ready, you cannot show it unless you have set the expectations with the stakeholders. That's a different thing, but that's not a good practice. You should only show. You go to a review, some PPT is shown. Bullshit. Nobody has time to see your stupid PPTs. You show the bloody working software. How does this login functionality work? Where do I click? What happens after that? And give some use cases to the stakeholders. Let them use your software. If you have built a report, let them use it. So sprint review is a call where feedback is captured from the stakeholders. Stakeholders say, oh yeah, this is fine, but I want some other feature here. Okay, that is something which the product owner will take. Okay, this is additional story which we'll do next. Or he captures, oh, this animation is not working. Oh, this is a bug. QA will note it down. So then based on the feedback, we will adjust our product backlog. We will add more things. And then based on the priority, for the next sprint, based on that feedback, we will do further items. So the important thing is sprint review happens. You should show working software, completed software, working software, and feedback is captured. So SM has to make sure the feedback is captured, and then whatever is expected from the stakeholders, whatever they are expecting, then in the next review, the follow-up is done. All that is Scrum Master's duty. We'll get into the detail, what are the ins and outs and what are the exact things they are going to do. But I'm just giving you an idea. Day 7, day 8, day 9, sprint review will happen. Yeah, Wasim sir.
Sir, I'd like to know, like the product owner will be associated with the team on daily basis. So on 7th, 8th, 9th day, if I show the complete work on the 7th day, on 8th day or 9th day with the customer, can it happen that the product owner is seeing all the work in progress things on daily basis, and he is giving feedback on the same day?
That is also happening.
For example,
that is also happening.
Yes.
But that is also happening.
Okay.
But there should be a formal review where the stakeholders are also there, and PO is not the only decision maker. The other stakeholders are equally important, so they also need to show what you have done. The sprint review, the main point is that you are showing working software and you are taking feedback. Based on this feedback, you are improving your product. That you have to understand.
Yes, sir.
So any functionality that you are building, why you are doing a sprint review? Because you want to take the feedback to improve the product.
Yes, sir.
So this is agility. You build something, you take the feedback, you improve upon it, you show it in the next sprint, you again take the feedback, and then in 2-3 iterations, you get to a product which is acceptable by the business. This is what agility is all about.
Sir, I have another question. To achieve the product goal, means like according to the PO. So what are the factors should the team have?
We'll get into
Okay.
that. Just understand first the flow of how you were a Scrum Master and you were running a team. On day 1, what you did, day 1 to day 9, what you did, what were the events. Now we are on day 10. I'll take this question after the retro, Deepak sir. Okay. So day 10, now we are on day 10. Day 10, the sprint is ended. We have done everything. It is the last day. Then we do something called sprint retrospective. This is the last event where the Scrum Master invites the team to discuss what are the good things they did, what are the not so good things they did, and what are the suggestions the team is going to make to improve ourselves. Again, ideally, PO should not be a part of it. But if PO is good-natured, he is working on a day-to-day basis, and he is from the same organization, then he can be a part of this call. This is the practical tip. If a PO is from client, this can also happen. Your development team can be from Wipro or TCS, and PO can be a client guy. In those cases, if the PO is some other organization, then you don't include him. But if he's from the same organization, he's working on a day-to-day basis, then you include him. This is the practical. This is not theory. Okay. So why do you do retrospectives? Because you have to ask the team. And in the retrospective, the role of a Scrum Master is do not blame the people. If the blame is happening in that call, then it is not agility. You will never be successful in that call and as a Scrum Master. You can blame the practices. Say unit testing was not happening, or QA was not testing properly, or bugs was not getting fixed, whatever. Code reviews were not getting done. All sorts of CI/CD pipeline has issues. You can blame the practices, but you can never blame the people. Never, ever. You have to give the safe environment in that call. If the environment is not safe, if people start blaming each other, finger pointing at each other, then the whole purpose of that event is waste. Because if I am a developer, I can make mistakes here. What is the big deal? I am not son of Elon Musk. Elon Musk cannot make any mistake. He is God. But all of us are not gods. Sorry, that was just being sarcastic. In the next 3-4 years, Elon Musk and Zuckerberg, these are the people, or Sam Altman, these are the people who will be running the world. So we have to call them gods anyways. So point being that if a blame game is happening, then the Scrum Master has to stop it. He has to tell the team that today you are going to blame Kiran, tomorrow Priyanka, day after tomorrow Wasim. You will end up blaming each other and the entire team spirit will be spoiled. So maybe Wasim is making a mistake today, tomorrow Sudeepa is making, Omkar is making. So tell us how to improve the practices, how to do better code reviews, how to understand the requirements better, how to do code reviews, bugs better, how to fix CI/CD, all those issues, how to do it better, those should be the focus. So based on the suggestions that the team says, boss, better grooming should happen. Team says, rather than manual testing, automation testing should be done because it will be faster. Team says PO should be present. Team says code reviews should be better. Team says functional testing should be more comprehensive. Whatever team says. So whatever team is saying, based on that, you will pick up the most popular item, or let us say 6 out of 10 people say CI/CD pipeline needs to be fixed. What is CI/CD pipeline? We'll get into it. So the deployments should be automated and CI/CD pipeline should be fixed. So that is something which then somebody owns it up. Okay, we will do this activity. This is the first improvement that we have to do. So this is based on a technique called Kaizen from Japanese philosophy, that you pick up one item every sprint to improve. So after few sprints, if you improve one by one, after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you will end up having a great productivity. So as a Scrum Master, you take the suggestions from the team, you pick up the most popular item from those suggestions. We have an owner who takes it up, and then you follow it up, and that is how you improve the team. So that is how you build the continuous improvement culture in the teams that you handle. How do you improve the teams that you have been taking care? You do retrospectives. In those retrospectives, you understand, you discuss what is it that they do well, what is it that they did not do well, and what are the suggestions to improve. Based on the suggestions, you pick up the most important suggestion and then try to implement it. So this is the part of continuous improvement culture that you bring to the organization. Is this clear? Easier? It is very easy to say, but actually in real life, it is very difficult to do. So what are the techniques that you use in order to do that? That also we'll discuss. So at least now you have an idea on day 1 to day 10, what are the activities that happen. On day 1, sprint planning. What do you need to do sprint planning? What is the output of sprint planning? Then why do you do daily stand-up? Then why do you do sprint reviews on day 7, day 8, day 9? Then on day 10, you do retrospectives to find out what are the good things that happen, what are the not so good things happen, good, bad, and suggestions. What are the suggestions team is giving to improve itself? So in the review call, the spillover discussion is also sometimes happen, or sometimes it happens before the retrospectives or during retrospective. It depends on what team is doing. But spillover discussion is also where you are a part of, where there are 6 stories. So whether you completed all of them, half of them, what are you going to do with stories that you have not completed? All of those, whatever stories you have not completed, that spillover discussion is also a part of that review call. And metrics. What are the completed stories? How many bugs you got? Something of that sort is a part of your retrospective calls also. So the Scrum Master shares the metrics with the team also during retrospectives. They explain, okay, these many stories we completed, these many bugs we got, these many items we completed, these are, this is your cycle time, this is your lead time, all that sort of discussion. And then based on that, team can say whether they did well, they did not so well, or what are their suggestion points. But if the blame game is happening, then this is a useless call, no need to have this. That is the responsibility of the Scrum Master. He builds that culture that nobody is blamed. You can blame the practice, but you cannot blame any individual. You have to protect people's integrity and their respect. You can't insult me in public, even if I'm doing 0 stories here. You can't do that. So that sort of, okay. So this is what we call Scrum Master has to create safe environment, psychologically safe environment, where people can express themselves and we can find honestly, okay. So this is the flow of the events. This is how you run a Scrum team. Now we will get into the details, how to do a good review, retrospective, what are the different formats. In daily stand-up, what are the typical issues we get? What are the blockers we get? We get various kinds of blockers in the daily stand-up. What are the different kinds of blockers you get in daily stand-up and how do you resolve them? In sprint planning, how do you create capacity sheet? Capacity is typically built on your story points and velocity. We'll understand what are those and then we'll build those. Then review calls, what are the bad things that they do, how to improve it, spillovers, how do you find RCAs, how do you resolve them, retrospectives, different formats. We'll get into the each and every event and the good and the bad points. This is, so why would you, so the typical question would, why would you hire me? Or why should we hire you? So in those, why should we hire you? All of these, so I know how to improve the team by doing proper retrospectives. If the team is struggling, how will you do proper retrospectives? So if the team is not able to complete its stories, what will you do in the review call? If the stakeholders give you negative feedback, how you are going to handle that? If they give you positive, how you are going to handle that? In the daily stand-up, people are not attending, how will you do that? In the middle of the sprint, PO introduces something, how will you handle that? So your deployments are not happening, there are too many bugs, how will you handle that? So all that discussion we will do in detail, but this was the macro view of how you run a sprint. So now you can ask me questions and then we'll get into more details from tomorrow.
The sprint demo is same
Sprint
as
demo and sprint review is the same thing. Actually, we should not call it demo. Demo means you have a final product. In Agile, you have an iterative approach. You are improving the product. So on a release level, once, let us say you are going to push the code after 6 sprints. So that is your release cycle. So on a release level, you can still call it a demo, but on a sprint level, you should not call it a demo because you are still reviewing. Demo means it's a final product. Review means you have built something and now you are seeking feedback. That way you are saving your team. If something goes bad, you can say, this is a review here, we will improve. Otherwise, people will blast, what have you built? This is nonsense. Array, you have just given 10 days to build something here. Those waterfall people will come and they still have that mindset. 10 दिन में क्या बनेगा, boss? This is an iterative approach. This is just first glimpse of it. Now you tell whatever you want, we'll build it and give you next 10 days. So that is why you have to use the word review and not demo, but typically they will still call it demo because they are used to it. Cigarette पीनी है तो पीनी है यार, खराब है तो क्या करें? Yes. Sudeep.
Sir, I have one doubt regarding the sprint backlog timing. Like PLE has raised one thing, like on the fourth, when we are doing the fourth sprint planning, for that sprint backlog grooming call has already been done in sprint 2 or sprint 1. But our sprint is 10 days, so we are starting with sprint plan. At the end, we are coming with retrospective. Every day we are doing stand up. So for on the second sprint, on what time we are going to do this backlog grooming thing for the sprint third or fourth?
So typically in a 10-day period, first 2 or 3 days, people are just interested in the new stories that they have got. Don't schedule your backlog groomings then. Okay. Last 3 days also they are busy with their sprint ending activities. Somewhere in the middle, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, typically during those middle period, you can schedule 1 or 2, maybe 3. So, and each grooming session will be 45 minutes to 90 minutes. And minimum 1, maximum 3. That is the recommendation.
Okay.
But sometimes it's a very complex product. You could end up doing 2 hours grooming for 2-3 sessions. If it is a relatively easy product, 1 grooming should be enough, maybe 2 of 45 minutes each, like that. So there is no set in goal, oh, you have to do this, but typically 1 to 2 grooming sessions are required so that you have enough stories to work on during the sprint. Next.
Interesting.
So now day 1 to day 10, when does grooming happen? When does DSU happen? When does review happen? In real life, this is how typically a Scrum team works. Day 1, they will do their planning, then they will do their DSUs. In the middle, they will do some grooming. Then at the back end, there will be some review sessions. And on the last day, you will say good, bad, and suggestions, or what went well, what did not go, and all that. So this is how typically your sprint is structured. Yes, Abhilash.
So in our current project, what we do the sprint retrospective we do on the let's say sprint 1 is already done, then on the after 2 days, like on Tuesday, we do retrospective for last sprint. So like, is it a good practice or it should be done within 1?
Not good practice. Ideally, you should end the sprint with that event. When a new sprint has already started, then you should not do it, because see what happens in typically in organizations is when you end the sprint last day 10, at the end of it or starting of the new sprint, which is you will have to send your sprint reports, so your suggestion points, all your metrics, you will have to send it to the management. Typically all your sprint activities should be closed within those 10 days. If they are doing it, let them do it. People will do all sorts of crazy things, but not recommended.
Even sprint review also we do on Tuesday.
At least they are doing it.
Hmm.
There are teams that are not even doing it. So, and they still call themselves Agile. Jira le lo, ek Scrum Master le lo, and start using Jira. We are Agile. Okay, boss. Very good.
Actually, this happens. 7 to 20% companies do this.
Yes. It happens. Yes. So, but you got the idea. See, this thing is that you should have an idea of how actually this process works, so that you can bloody target very good companies. There's no point in getting to service-based companies. I mean, if you have to, you have to, but target product-based companies or target Middle East. Middle East is not a very difficult market to crack. Europe is difficult, but by the way, if you just set your location to Zurich, Geneva, and Lucerne, all those cities in Switzerland, and see Paris and all, see how much Scrum Masters jobs are. There are plenty. There are plenty, but not easy to crack. They don't sponsor visa, but opportunity is there. If you can get into 10, 20, 30 interviews, I've seen people getting European offers also. Difficult, but doable. But at least it gives you, after 2 months, you have a chance there. Question यही पूछेंगे. Question answer यही है. This is it. Why do you do daily stand-up? We'll get into more details. I have just given you a very brief overview of the flow. We'll get into the more nitty-gritties of it. The questions. So now you have those 60 questions, right, on these events. Six events and 60 questions. So now we will discuss each and every event and each and every question, and we'll see how to answer it interview through questions only and not theory, through what they will ask you and what will be our answers, and whatever concepts come in that, we'll get an explanation done. Okay.
One more thing. On Tuesday, you gave some kind of homework to us about the team configuration.
Yes. Have you? Very good. Yeah. People have forgotten about it. That's fine. You guys we'll do it already 10:25. We'll do it first thing tomorrow. Okay. Team configuration and tech stack. I will also provide you a sample so that you can get an idea. Any further questions? Anything else? Tomorrow we'll get into tomorrow the actual things will start. Then once we cover all these events in detail, then we will get into the estimations, the prioritizations, the conflict management, the behavioral questions, all those things. So we'll cover first Scrum. Once Scrum is covered, then we'll get into Kanban, then we'll get into Safe. But by the end of it all, you'll be you'll be better than 90% of the candidates. Then it is up to you whether you if you are scared to give interviews, then no chance. Or if you're scared, you will struggle to get into even Scrum because you have to say no. Nobody else in the room will say no. Your team can do 10 stories. They are saying no, do 25 stories. You are not hired to code. You are not hired to do testing. You are hired to say no, this is not possible. You are getting scared. अरे मेरी नौकरी चली गई फिर गई तो फिर गई. So we'll get into that. But point is that don't get scared of interviews. We'll cover you beautifully, but you will fail. You are not a god. If you are already acting Scrum Master, I think Kiran, you are. So he has a better chance. You are already acting as a Scrum Master, right?
Yeah.
So he has a chance. But if I'm not acting as a Scrum Master, then I don't have a chance in my first interview. Please be realistic about it. You will waste your 3 mock interviews. You will waste your 2-3 first interviews. But as long as you learn, you understand what mistakes you made, you improve on, this is fine. Go and fail, that's fine. And you will fail your first 5-6 interviews, and then you'll be fine. So be comfortable. See, most of the good candidates which get into a lot of great companies are candidates who are okay with this frustrating. You will apply for 100, 150 companies or maybe 200 companies. You will get 50 calls. You will make an effort, half an hour you will make to apply somewhere, internal job posting. Yeah, you will go to that website and do this, and you will get rejected. So as soon as you will start getting rejected, you are not getting that dopamine hit. You will say, leave it here. So success is a process which is mostly very frustrating because most of the time you'll be unsuccessful. So if you apply for 200 positions, 150 times you'll not get any response, but 50 times you will get a response. You will have 20-30 calls arranged, and out of those 20-30 calls you will crack after 5-6 calls, and then eventually you will end up having a very good company if you keep doing this process. But most of the time what people have is if they get rejected, I'm useless. I will never, people are very good, better than me. This sort of mindset they get into, and then they struggle. You have to keep improving and keep applying. That is the only way to get into great jobs. How do you get better at interviews, boss? You have only 2 best friends in life: the money in your bank account and your interview skills. Nobody else is there with you. That's how the reality of life works, especially in third world countries. सरकार थोड़ी है, कोई गवर्नमेंट है हमारे पीछे, कुछ भी नहीं. You are not born to Swiss parents. We have Indian parents, and this is the reality of life. So your interview skills and your bank account, those are your only two. So your interview skills are extremely important. And how do you get better at it? By giving it more and more. So enough of this year. So, okay, I'll wind up today. I hope this session was useful to you, and we'll get more and more into the practical tips. What are the, how do you survive? What do they ask in the interview? How can you fool them? What are the various reports that you send? How do you deal with the bad attitude people? Your PO is not there attending calls. He is not helping the team. Yet I joined an organization, and for the first 3 months they were grilling me. No output. I said, but there is no PO. What do you mean no PO? I said, there is no PO. What is PO? They for 3 months they were grilling. Where is the output? I said, but you have to give me a. Then finally I managed. There was this guy, CTO's friend, I managed to get hold of. He understood what I'm talking about. And then they got a BA, a very young guy, but at least, okay, I've got something to work with. So then we started working, and then that's a so you will get into some very weird. Now at least agile maturity is still there. When I joined, nobody knew anything. So it's a very interesting profession because you get to work with.
Even still, in many companies, many of the employees are not aware of Agile actually.
Yes. So you will be hired.
Many of them are not aware.
Correct. So you will be hired to coach these bunch of people. What are the good practices of the best software teams in the world, and how can they become very good and produce good working software with high quality with a very nice pace. So that is what this job is all about. Okay, today we'll wind up. Okay, 10:30 again. I'll try to wind up early tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow anyways, Friday. Okay, but we haven't got into the real things now. We are slowly getting there. Okay, but I hope you have an idea now on how a Scrum team works. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritties. Okay, have a nice, and then see you tomorrow. I think Sudeep has a question. Yeah, if you guys don't have a question, you guys can drop it. Yeah, Sudeep.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, sir, it's not related to the exact the teaching you're giving. It's like in an interview, with the basic and the very first thing they will be asking, like, introduce yourself. So, like, if we are not from the Scrum or a Scrum Master background, so like how that introduction should be.
I have been working as a Scrum Master for the last 5 years.
Okay, that one. Okay.
There is no other way out.
Okay.
I am very good. I understand Agile. Please give me a chance. To hell with you. I don't want to give you a chance. Why should I pay you money to improve you? I am very good. I have had an experience of working with a lot of teams, and some of these teams have been very productive. I know how to run teams. I know how to handle difficult situations. I know how to handle pressure. And when they ask you questions, you will give various examples. Once that is established, then they see you as a candidate who can come in and improve their teams and its productivity. That is when they will hire.
Okay. So the first sentence is I have been working.
I have been working as a Scrum Master from the last 5 years, 3 years, 6 years, whatever. I have handled 2, 3, 4 teams, whatever. My current team this is the configuration, and 1 PO, 2 VAs, whatever is the configuration. This is the tech stack. This is how we run Scrum, and so on and so forth.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you guys. See you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Sir, can someone send a PPT to this mail ID? I haven't received the last PPT.